Welcome to number two of my 365 Hyperlocal Bibles. We'll see if I get to 365. It's a bit like diets and dry January. Day two of dry January. And these things, will I do them? I'll try my best. As I said, it's a one-off as a 1 year off. And I said if one person looks at all this in 100 years' time, then that'll be worth it. That one figure is always very important. Just while I'm uploading a video interview, I think as this is on YouTube, and a lot of digitals, independents have many multi-platforms, and our YouTube channel has always been very important because that was the original idea of one of the main motivators. Is I wanted more film on as a newspaper, and obviously digital. And I sort of hark back to when I was thinking about your Thurrock, because I was working for the Thurrock Gazette and Evening Echo, etc. And sort of giving that feeling. I always liked Nationwide in the 70s. I just like the way it dipped into different corners of the country, and I thought it was much more. It was it was grassroots, and I like the grassroots nature of it. I thought it was a celebration in that way of all life in the United Kingdom. So that's why, and it was film. So I wanted to sort of replicate that, and no film beneath you in that way. That's sort of my mantra. I say to the young journalists and students, saying, "No job beneath you, no job above you." And the same thing with the filming. It should celebrate in that way. So. And that's and our so the first film in Your Thurrock would have been September 2008, and Your Harlow now has 3,600 plus films, and they're important. I say, wouldn't I? They're an important social document. Looking at the film in that way, and again, I always say I never get ahead of myself because our most viewed film with something like 260,000 views on YouTube. Is a car on fire, a Vauxhall Zafira on fire in Second Avenue meets Howard Way in Harlow from a couple of years ago, 22 years, so nearly 3 years ago. But that film sort of illustrates, and you see all the people all over the world talking about Vauxhall Zafira, and they're talking about the alleged design fault, a suspected design fault, but then how long it took the fire service to come. People all over the world discussing it, and that's a great thing. The Vauxhall Zafira film says to me, never get ahead of yourself. You might talk about your qualifications awards. Never you're the Vauxhall Zafira guy, if you know what I mean, in that film. And it's a leveler in that way. It's 150 years' time, you do all this work, and somebody says, oh, you made that film with the Vauxhall Zafira on fire. Yeah, there we are. But also, in some ways, it's the idea of you see the car on fire. My wife was driving at the time. I said, just drop me off. I saw it, and film that as a minor news item. So it really is, everybody should be prepared. If you think you're going to go down in history or heritage, or people look back and make some proud, bold statement about being, the history and the cultural milieu, no, you just might be the guy who filmed the Vauxhall Zafira on fire. And that's worth reflecting on. But again, the film also symbolises, I'm just waiting to see if the film I'm just uploading or exporting does it. Is the other thing is I had a neighbour, Olive. We moved away. She's now in a care home. Lovely Olive. She's in her 90s, but she always said that she didn't. She didn't. She loved the printed paper, the Harlow Citizen, and the Harlow Star. And he used to come through the door, he'd read it, etc. And she'd go to the Marks and Spencer's retired ladies, and she knew my mother, God rest her soul, because she used to work for Marks and Spencer's, and they'd read the Harlow Star. And when it went, what they got? So again, a bit like Vauxhall Zafira, and there's Olive, and she used to sometimes knock on our door and say, Michael, now I've heard such and such, do you know? And I thought, yeah, I should tell Olive. And I also say to Olive, please don't, I hope the other 90 odd thousand people in Harlow don't knock on the door to find out what's going on. But it was And she used to sort of describe the internet as the twiddly thing. I just don't understand this twiddly thing. She couldn't. And I guess an example of how she didn't understand this twiddly thing was her a son lives in America, and he rings her every week. He's a good son, and he'd say, he said, oh, and this a couple of years ago, he said, oh, by the way, Mum, I saw that film of the Vauxhall Sophia on fire. And she said, how could you? I don't understand. It's on 2nd Avenue. You're in Chicago. How could you? And I thought that's almost a celebration of, it just puts it in perspective, Olive's life, etc., somebody of a certain age. And also if people say, I miss the newspaper, a printed newspaper. And I thought, well, yeah, maybe Olive is an example of that. So levelers, I think if this is things that level you every single day, don't get ahead of yourself, son. Feet on the ground, Vauxhall Severe as an olive. So that's the end of this Hyperlocal Bible for today, and thank you very much.